Hello and welcome to the Dragon Slayer podcast in association with Riverside Sports Bar, the home for live sport and great burgers in Newport. Joining me for this one is Gavin Thomas and Gareth Clare. Hello, gentlemen. How are we?
Um, Despite the clear issues the Dragons had, which we'll get on to, my under-12 side won their first junior rugby game today by 10 tries to 5, so I'm very pleased.
That's
Yeah,
great news. Well
And,
good
done.
and,
stuff, Gav.
and my
That's-
son pulled off a ridiculous one-handed interception. The second this season, he's such a show pony. I don't know where he gets it from.
No, that's good. Well done. My daughter Megan won play with a match today for Liswery Lizards. Well done, Meg. It's a nice moment. She's improving. She's working really hard and improving, so I'm absolutely delighted.
Good stuff. I
Yeah.
feel like it's going to be a positive night with that start.
Oh no, no, don't think that. Don't think that at all. Right. Shall we get into it then? News desk. So Dragons have now officially confirmed that Aaron Wainwright will be leaving the club at the end of the season to join Leicester Tigers. The club said in a statement, "We are obviously disappointed to be losing a player of the quality of Aaron at the end of this campaign, and we tried everything to retain his services with financial terms that surpassed all others to remain with us." That's interesting. So they're saying that their offer surpassed all the other offers. Yeah, quite interesting. However, we must respect his decision to want to experience a fresh challenge outside of Wales and know how hard this choice has been for him to make. Dragons RFC is his club. Rodney Parade will always be his home. And then Wainwright said, "Dragons RFC in the Gwent region means a huge amount to me, but now is the right time in my career for a fresh challenge." He said, "I hope all supporters can understand and support the decision I've made." Yes, Aaron. We fully understand and we fully support you. Do not worry about that. The time to reflect will come at the end of the season. Right now, my focus will remain on looking forward and building on our recent performances. Thank you for your continued support. The atmosphere on New Year's Day summed up why this is such a special club to represent and be a part of. Playing to Rodney Parade will always mean the world to me. I look forward to more games with the Terrace in full voice, Gareth and Loaf, and the fans behind us before the season is out. So we spoke about Aaron's departure last week in a bit of detail, but now it's been made official. Any further thoughts or comments you want to add? Now we know he's definitely going. Either of you?
Like we said last week, I completely understand why. It's a chance for him to play Champions Cup rugby, to genuinely compete for trophies, and he deserves it.
Yeah, quality player, isn't he? He is a Dragons legend. Glad really that he's going to a top English club, not to one of our sort of main rivals.
I don't think he ever would have done that.
No.
I genuinely can't see anything would have dragged him to go to Cardiff or Ospreys or whoever, because if he's playing for a Welsh club, he wants to stay in Newport, doesn't he?
Yeah, exactly. And for anyone frequenting Rodney Parade towards the end of the season, we'll be dressing up as Aaron Wainwright on the terrace as well. So if anyone can let Aaron know to not cut his hair, because we will be donning a couple of big blonde mullets. And for those that can grow a mustache, I'm going to have to get a stick on one. But yeah, as a tribute to Aaron, because yeah, he is a proper Dragons legend, and he'll be well received up to the end of the season. And if we ever face Leicester as well, he'd have a warm welcome.
Yeah, of course he would. And you did message him, Gareth, didn't you? And he did reply.
He did, yeah. He's a lovely guy, Aaron, and he touched on how much it means, how much the fans have meant to him, and he loves playing at Rodney Parade and the support he's had. He's super grateful for, and just sort of an opportunity he couldn't turn down to try something new, which I think all Dragons fans I've spoken to completely respect, and we do wish him all the best. We are gutted, of course. You lose a player of his quality, you're gutted, but yeah, it's good for Aaron, and yeah, you always be a Dragon.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like Falata, one of our greatest.
Yeah.
And he is going to be very sorely missed. Right. Shall we talk about the weekend? So they say good things never last. And that's certainly true, isn't it, for long-suffering Dragon supporters? After a very positive few weeks, The Dragons, in my opinion, took a big step backwards with yet another embarrassing performance in Europe. Benetton 74, Dragons 21. The Tiatia Tombola came out to play as the Dragons made 9 changes from the team that beat Scarlets on New Year's Day. And let's be honest, it backfired in spectacular fashion, didn't it, boys? As Benetton ran in 11 tries. The best the Dragons could do was score 3 as they endured a pointless and humiliating night in Treviso. So, for context, it was the Dragons' third heaviest defeat in their history, and it's their 13th successive away loss since beating Newcastle in December 2024. It was grim, wasn't it? Really, really grim and embarrassing and spineless and pathetic. And I'm going to stop now before I lose my rag. Gareth, let's come to you then. Back down to earth for you, lad, isn't it? After a positive few weeks.
Yeah, I'm just looking forward to Friday now. Sod this. No, it was frustrating. When the team was picked, there's a few eyebrows raised. You mentioned the rotation. There were 9 changes. I think as soon as the game kicked off, we didn't look connected as a team. We didn't look connected in defence, and then that's the sort of the base of a Dragons game at the minute is being strong in defence. And when we didn't have that, we didn't really have a platform to play from. It's just night and day, isn't it? At home this season, I've had a look, and our points difference at home, I appreciate we've won a few games, is plus 21 points at home, which is really good. And away from home this season, we're negative 153 away from Rodney Parade, which tells its own story. We have been poor on the road, and a lot's been made of all the changes, and potentially there were too many, but I do think that you can't pick your best players every week. What I am disappointed is some of the players that come in didn't perform as well as they could. And at times we were bullied. We didn't look like we really had the bit between our teeth. And you think, well, you're still representing the Dragons. If that same team was playing at Rodney Parade, I feel like we'd perform a lot stronger with a lot more aggression. So why can't we do it on the road?
I want to talk about the selection in a separate segment.
Okay.
Let's just concentrate on the game itself now. Where did it go wrong for you then, Gareth? What happened for the Dragons to just crumble and throw the towel in as they did? And they did throw the towel in. Let's be honest, they did.
I think we were just completely outclassed and outmuscled, especially out wide. I think we struggled 12, 13, 14 to live with Treviso. And once they started to get over the top of us in the wide channels, they didn't stop. I think there were some massive efforts in our team. Harry Beddle, 25 tackles, phenomenal effort, didn't stop working all game. I thought Hugh Anderson actually was really lively. He's beaten a lot of people. And, he can create things. His kicking game was poor on more than one occasion. Hugh Anderson, for me, is a player with bags of potential. He's a young lad, and I think he could be, a really, really good player. But when he's in a back line that's underpowered, he gets exploited. So it was a long night. But he, at times, was a bit of a shining light. I thought in patches, the forwards battled hard, but out wide, it was just too easy, and we were just on the back foot because we were gaining so many easy yards just through power. Completely overpowered us out wide.
Yeah.
Hugh Anderson was the best back, wasn't he?
I think so. I think so. He did make a lot of line breaks and had a lot of good moments, but he's also a player. Yes, he does have lots of potential, but he also has a lot of work-ons as well, particularly his kicking game, his distribution, and his defense. But the raw materials are there. But he really does have a lot of work-ons. So what did Filo say after the game? He said, we were second best in most parts of the game. He said, I'm disappointed around the performance as a collective. We know that we are better than what we showed you. We will need to learn from it. We will have a deep review, he says, and then we'll move forward. We've got a short turnaround to Newcastle at Rodney Parade. We've got to take the learnings, move forward, and be a lot better back home. Very surprised Filo didn't use his favourite buzzword of growth. He loves saying growth, Filo, but he hasn't said it in this interview.
And I thought it at the time of reading it, and I still think it now. Sod the review. just draw a line under that game and move on. We got a positive atmosphere going on at home at Rodney Parade. What can you learn from just watching someone run over you time and time again out wide? Just draw a line under it, boys. We were crap and move on. And let's right the wrongs just on the pitch next week.
The thing is, Gareth, it wasn't just out wide as well. We didn't control the midfield at all. Like all those Fekatoa and Adog were very good players, but we made them look like Christian Cullinan in New Zealand, because every time they got the ball, they made yards and yards and yards. Because defensively, we were in the wrong places. When we were in the right places, we were making tackles. They were cutting through us like we weren't there. And the minute you threw the defensive line, it's really hard to kind of scramble back. And we didn't have the players who could scramble back. And the back row did all they could do, but they were having to do the job of the centres as well defensively. And then that leaves gaps elsewhere. Yeah, and fair play to Harry Beddle, who was everywhere. There were about 4 of him on the field, I'm sure. But because they were having to fill the shortcomings there, holes are turning up elsewhere. The scrum did all right. They were competitive, but the line out, oh my God, that was a pain.
Disaster. Absolute disaster.
I read that from my memory. Yeah, that was poor.
We had a couple of times, we were down in theirs, we had a penalty, we're 10 metres out, and we just spooned the ball aimlessly. Yeah, it was awful to watch. And I don't blame hookers for throwing into lineouts, because if you don't get the calls and the timing right, doesn't matter how good the throw is, because we just won't go to anyone.
Yeah.
And we butchered the calls and the timing. People going up late, they go, it was stinking. And a buzzword from the past, there was no game management. I was saying Tinas had a better game last week. He did not have a better game this week, because it was a game that wasn't for him. He didn't make those decisions. Rodri didn't make the decisions. And we're gonna talk, Jamie, as you said, about the selection. But it was an underpowered team. That's fine. But that's not why we lost so poorly. We lost because they massively underperformed.
Yeah. Was you surprised as well that Tiatia took off the entire front row at halftime? Because I actually thought that Ollie Bowes was doing all right. He scored a try. I thought he was putting it about. Damani was doing okay. Martinez wasn't very good. Let's be honest. I don't think he was particularly good. But I found that a bit surprising, because I thought those are not where the issues are. The issue was in the back line. It wasn't the forwards or the front row. I found that really strange. Did you?
The front row, Martinez was not good.
No.
But I thought Lamini did well. I'd like to see him get on the ball more often to see what he can do. But other than that, he did all right. And Ollie Burrows did what he always does, big, solid physical performance. So that wasn't where the issue was. Matthew Screech had a poor game.
He did, yeah.
Some of his decision making, and because there was that point when we were attacking, and all he had to do was go to ground, and he tried throwing it. It was a really panicky offload, and you're like, right, this is when it was like today when watching my lads' game when we were scoring tries regularly, the opposition were panicking and panicking. They had 11-year-old kids; they're allowed to. Screech is a professional with Wales caps, and about 150 games in the URC, he shouldn't be panicking like that.
No, and that's the thing. Like, we can talk about the players coming in, are they up to the standard? But for me, the senior players completely let themselves down in this game. The halfbacks report, Rodri yet again. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but the guy is in stinking form, and we'll talk about it later with Newcastle. I wouldn't even have him in the 23 next weekend. I've had enough now. He's absolutely stinking. Tinas de Beer had a shocker. His kicking was atrocious. It was just abysmal. It was absolutely abysmal.
Every 9 other than Rodri has been better when they've played recently.
100%.
Morgan Lloyd did well when he came on, didn't he?
I thought he'd give us a bit of zip.
Yeah.
I actually thought as well that Rodri was getting to rucks quicker and getting the ball away quicker than he had in the past. but his decision making was poor. It was very poor, and you just think, really, our game management just recently have been Shea Hope and Angus, and the halfbacks were the ones that needed to manage that game. And yeah, you're right, they just didn't today.
We lacked, oh God, a buzzword from the past. We lacked leadership, didn't we? There was no real leadership on the field without Ben Carter, without Angus.
It highlights as well
how good Hope.
Yeah, how good players like an Aaron Owen have been for us as well. When you drop these players, the drop off. I think we raised the bar of quality this season with the squad we've got, but we still have a long way to go. We've had a few good wins, and we're better than we were last season, even in some of the games we haven't won. But we do need to keep raising that bar, and maybe some of the players at the bottom of the squad list need to maybe move on, and we need to be adding more quality again, don't we?
Yeah. So I watched the game on Saturday night, and then I did something very silly today on Sunday, and I watched it back. I watched the game back. I know. It was worse on the second viewing. It really was worse. The likes of Fekatoa, Ratave, Umanga, Odogwu, and Lina had a field day against us. They absolutely tore us to shreds. Poor Ewan Rosser. He's going to be having nightmares over Anisi Ratave. I mean, he was just a speed bump, wasn't he? He absolutely terrorized the poor kid. Yeah. I felt sorry for Ewan watching this game. I really did.
He was one at the start of the season when we said, who's going to need a big season? And I said, well, you and Rosser, because otherwise, Harry Rees-Weldon's overtaking you now. And do you get a squad spot next year? Because he's at that age, he's 25. That's what you sort of want. You want players with promise, and you either make it or another promising youngster overtakes you. And I don't think Ewan Ross has quite lived up to the earlier promise.
No, but Ratave absolutely terrorized the guy, and he was just all at sea defensively. I don't want to single out him. I think a lot of players were poor, but yeah, it was just a really tough day at the office for a lot of people, and he was one of them, unfortunately. The stats for this game do not make for pretty reading. I don't know if either of you have had a chance to look at the stats. The attack wasn't great. Dragons made just 298 post-contact meters compared to Benetton's 569.
I reckon
that tells a story right there, doesn't it?
I reckon Odogwu made as many as we did as a team.
Oh, probably.
Because every time he got the ball, he broke through a tackle.
Yeah. Benetton made 17 line breaks compared to the Dragons' 8. We had only 6 entries into Benetton's 22. Do you know how many Benetton had?
15.
17. 17 entries into the 22, and it came away with 11 tries. Scrum was okay, 88% success rate. The line-out was a disaster. Listen to this, 38% success rate. 38%. Can you believe that? That is absolutely abysmal.
That actually sounds better than I thought it was.
Really?
Yeah. I thought it was worse than that. I thought it was around 30.
Shocking.
There was one line now, wasn't there, where the general was up in the air going, what was that? As the ball's flown over his head. It's just like it wasn't even close.
No. But you know what? It shows just how important Ben Carter is to his team, isn't it? Because he's the one calling the lineouts. That's the leadership we need. And when he's not there.
So fair play though for getting the general up though, because
Well, did you notice that one line out against the Scarlets when they almost dropped? Well, they basically did drop him at the front of the line out challenging. That was comedy gold. It probably got missed a bit because we won. But yeah, he's a big man, isn't he?
What is he? 125 kilos, it's fair play for getting him up in the air. Fair play for jumping. But oh God, those games where you think, right, I understand sometimes a team's better than you, because that happens, and Benetton are better than us. We know that. But honestly, we made them look like world beaters, and I don't rate Jacob Umanga. I think he's absolutely at the level he's at. He's no better than that. But we made him look like Jonathan Davis in the
Dan Carter
in the 80s. Yeah, he was.
Yeah. Defence, Dave McLeod will not be happy, will he? Um, Dragons missed. Listen to this. 46 tackles.
Oh,
Oh,
46 tackles they missed. Benetton missed quite a few. My name missed 32, which did surprise me.
yeah, but
But
it was a difference in our running, wasn't it?
yeah,
You miss a tackle on a dog, he makes 20 metres. You miss a tackle on Di Richards, he makes about 4.
exactly. But that's shocking, isn't it? 46 missed tackles. But I mean, the defense was, you could see it with your own eyes. Players falling off tackles, players getting bumped off, players just grasping in the air. Really, really poor.
I,
Only 3 turnovers won compared to Benetton's 7, by the way. So we didn't win the breakdown battle at all. And I think for Dragons to have a chance of beating teams, we need to turn over the ball. What was you going to say then, Gav?
well, I appreciate Ravate a the winger, like, a big boy in there. But if you know you've got this huge, powerful winger, then you just double up. The
Yeah.
full back will come into the winger's channel, or second row or back row can come into that channel, and just make sure there's always two of you to deal with him, so he's not bumping you off. But we didn't
Mm.
organise ourselves. Yeah, we were so strung out. Well, we were really narrow at times, and then when they went wide, we didn't really fill the channels correctly.
No, that's right. Our wide defence was really found wanted. And like I said, Rossa was just exposed. There was a lot of players exposed in defence. The midfield was exposed as well, but it was a very difficult evening. On the plus side, we only conceded 6 penalties. That's pretty good. Discipline,
you can't
discipline,
concede penalties under your own post. That's why.
Well,
discipline has been an issue for the Dragons. When they're under pressure, they do give away a lot of penalties, but our discipline was pretty good on Saturday, so that's
but
something.
we weren't under pressure because they weren't hammering at the line. They were getting the ball 40 metres out, running through 5 blocks and trotting over the line.
Yeah, I get your point. There were a couple of times where they were hammering away at us in the 22, but I get your
Yeah,
point. Yeah, you are right. Yeah. Um, Harry Bedell, top tackler with 25, as we mentioned, another excellent shift from the youngster. What a pleasant surprise Harry Bell has been. And what I mean by that is we know he's quality, but I also remember when Chris Kerwin wrote an article when he signed for the Dragons, he said that he expected Bell to be playing a lot of Super Rugby Cymru and he wouldn't have that much involvement in the senior team, but that's not the case.
no.
He's had quite a few minutes. And actually, I would say every game he's played, he's been very, very good. He is the 7 that
Yes.
we've lacked for a long time. He's a proper 7, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Really like him.
We
Really,
know,
really like him.
bizarrely, our young players are giving us the kind of shape we should have. We've got a proper 6 in Woodman. Shane Lewis Hughes is a decent 6 as well, but he's not been a great form. And we've got a proper 7 in Bedell. I just want us to bring in a really experienced 8 to sit between them.
Mm. Did you see Filo's comments though around the
Yeah,
8 position? He was saying, we got young guys here like Minto. Um, who else did he say?
Conker.
Conker,
Conker.
that's right. Ryan Jones, I think he said as well,
Yeah,
didn't he?
Yeah.
Wayne Jones is one to watch. Yeah.
And then he mentioned Shane Lewis Hughes as an option. Now, he scored a really good try, by the way, Shane Lewis Hughes. Showed a lot of
Yeah.
gas. Credit to Thomas Young, came off the bench. He did okay.
Yeah.
He set up that try. Nice offload. It doesn't work for me, Shane, at 8. I don't
He's
see him as a number
no,
8 going
he's a
forward.
grafter.
Yeah, he's not
Yeah.
explosive enough for me. You want somebody who can make those heavy traffic kind of breakthroughs, like Falatau could, like Billy Vunipola could, like Wainwright can. Even if there's lots of tacklers, he can break through it. Shane Lewis Hughes isn't that player.
No.
Yeah, he'll give you a couple of yards, but he won't break through that heavy traffic. I want somebody who can do that. I want somebody who's going to pick the ball up from rucks from the base of the scrum and smash his way through players.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Agreed.
absolutely. Were there anyone else other than Harry Bedell, who for me was head and shoulders above the rest of the Dragons? Like he was clearly our best player. Is there anyone else that comes out of that game with any credit at all?
Yeah, like we talked about, I think Anderson attacking, yes, but defensively, no.
Yeah, I enjoyed watching Anderson. I think Rob Hunt come on and worked hard.
Yeah, it wasn't a game for the general. I think
No. Do you know, there was actually one or two good hits went in, but it was so lost because it wasn't in a good defensive set. He was putting in a good hit, but they were still getting round us and breaking through the centres. So I don't think the forwards were that bad. It was just
It was the back line that was the
all
problem.
of the backs.
Honestly, I'll stand by this. I don't think the forwards were the issue. It was the back line.
Yeah.
Right, let's talk about team selection, okay? Because I think it's important to talk about this. So this has been a really big talking point, okay? There was a lot of talk about this on the Dragons forums before and after the game. There were a lot of supporters confused and a bit angry about the amount of changes the Dragons made. So when that team was announced, I saw a comment from somebody on Facebook who said, "We haven't picked a team to win." And I thought that was a really interesting comment. Because first of all, I thought, well, that's a bit silly, isn't it? No, coaches pick teams to win games. No one thinks, I'm going to pick this team and lose. What does he mean? We haven't picked a team to win. But I've been thinking about that comment a lot, and having watched the game twice now, I kind of understand where he's coming from. I didn't like that team that had been named. And I said to you in the group chat, as you two both know, I said I don't like it. And quite frankly, I think we've got what we deserved on Saturday night because it just looked too weak in certain areas. And unfortunately, that proved to be the case. You looked at our team sheet, and then you looked at Benetton's, and it was just a mismatch from the get-go. And, Filo talks about giving opportunities to players who had been in good form in Super Rugby Cymru. Okay, fine. But then in that case, my question to him is, where was Harry Ackerman then? Harry Ackerman should have been in that team. So if he was fit and available, why wasn't he in the team? Because I think he would have been a better option at either 12 or 13. And look, it was right to rotate the squad. Let's be clear about this. It was 100% right to rotate that squad. There's a 6-day turnaround to Newcastle, right? You cannot play the same team every week. Because I've had people on Facebook, on the Dragons forums telling me, why can't we play our best team every week? It doesn't work like that, guys. There's regulations against it. There's player welfare. You're going to burn players out if you keep playing the same 15 every week. And no rugby team, no professional rugby team on the planet does that. There's always some slight rotation. It just doesn't work like that. The issue here for me was the amount of changes that were made and the standard of some of the players selected. 9 changes were too many. It was far too many. And I do put the blame on Filo for that. And I think he needs to understand the Dragons just haven't got the depth to be making so many changes. Filo, you are coaching Dragons, mate. You're not coaching Leinster. What right do you have to make 9, 10 changes and go away to Benetton and think you can come away with something? What squad do you think you've got to do that? And I've seen people, and Gareth, I know you don't feel this way like I do, but I've had people say to me, "Oh well, we didn't prioritize this game. Newcastle is the most important game." Yeah, but we still could have come away with a bonus point. And you said there that we shouldn't worry about the review. Just forget about for a line in the sand. No, I'm sorry, I disagree. I don't think we should play that result down because it felt to me that performance undid all the good work the Dragons have done over the past few weeks. And my concern is now the confidence and momentum that we worked so hard to build in December has now evaporated. It's been wasted because Dragons were actually starting to implode it from their biggest critics. We were actually starting to get a bit of respect for our performances. But now they'll just look at our result, the critics, and they'll go, well, yeah, same old Dragons. We told you they were rubbish. When you concede 73 points and get humiliated like that, I don't think it's so easy to go, yeah, don't worry about that. Draw a line in the sand. We go again next week. That's going to leave some scar tissue because this wasn't just a defeat. Let's be clear. If we had lost 42-21, you kind of go, oh, well, it is what it is. We look forward. Boys, we had 73 fucking points put on us. That is an absolute embarrassment, a humiliating result.
A shellacking.
This isn't just a defeat, it's a total embarrassment. It's a result that makes people stand up and look and go, what the hell is going on here? And for me, Dragons, they have sabotaged their progress by that team selection. That's what they've done. And I just hope it hasn't caused too much damage to their confidence and momentum because a result like that can do that to you. So that's where I stand with it. I think this deep review needs to be done, and I do think, well, I think certain players going forward probably shouldn't feature for the Dragons as much as they have been, and I think certain players maybe need to continue playing Super Rugby Cymru rather than be involved with the Dragons, because I think that's the issue here, isn't it?
You know, I understand that you can't keep the same team every week, but you can pick a strong enough team to compete.
Of course.
That was never going to compete in any stretch of the imagination. Just, yeah, and you look at the team they put out, and I'm not singling out players, but neither Joe Westwood or Di Richards are really, first names you would put on the list. And they're up against a, a bloke who's won God knows what with the All Blacks and with club sides all around the world. And, like a dog who never quite lived up to the early stuff when he was in the England squad, but didn't get capped. But, is a handful, a big, powerful lad. It was always going to be one-way traffic.
Yeah. No, you agree. And it's, Day Richards playing outside centre. That's such a pivotal position. Your defence has got to be spot on. Day
It's,
Richards missed 8 tackles in that game, right? Now,
it's,
you can play at 13 for Newport against Swansea or Bridgend, and you look really good. Yeah. Going to Benetton, playing against a strong Benetton side at outside centre, is a hell of a difference. And I felt you got exposed. Joe Westwood got exposed. A lot of boys in that squad got exposed, I think. But
mm,
then maybe there's lessons to come from this as well. Maybe Filo says, well, this is the standard that you need to reach. But that team selection for me was completely wrong.
Well,
No problem with making changes, but that selection, that centre partnership, the back three, there was certain, the bench as well. It was just wrong, absolutely wrong to do that against a strong Benetton team. And they got taken to the cleaners, and quite frankly, that's what they deserve. That's where I stand on it.
my concern there when you say, with learning lessons, people like Di Richards and Joe Westwood started away in Perpignan as well. And it's, I think some players they get a lot of chances. Joe's a little bit younger as well than Di
Yes, he
and
is, in
Ewan.
fairness. Yeah,
But yeah, how many chances do you get? And I think at the Dragons as well, we sort of love homegrown players. We
me
can
too.
connect with them as the crowd and things like that. And I think we've got a bit of a soft spot for them. I know I certainly do.
Yeah,
But if you look at the Dragons' record over X amount of years, we have been poor, and we need to not accept that level of performance, and we do need to have the bar raised. On the actual selection, I think it is tough because of all the players, I think who could have come back in, who could make a difference, especially in that backline thing. Angus has been a big leader for us. But if he had got a knock in a game that I don't think we would win anyway, when we've got much more winnable games ahead, I'd be gutted. Same with Anisi. And we had a few short turnarounds in a row, didn't we? 6-day turnaround after 6-day turnaround. I know it was a bit of a longer gap to this one, but you can't flog players to death. I don't actually have as much of a problem with the selection as others, and there has been a lot of comments online.
yeah.
But the players let themselves down. Those selected didn't take their opportunity. And I think if we need to rotate again, somebody else should be rotated in instead of them. Somebody else deserves a shot because they're not taking their opportunities when given. And it's not breeding competition if they get another go, is it?
No, exactly. And, I get your point, Gav. This probably wasn't a winnable game, right? Even if you did select more first team players. But first of all, you wouldn't have had that embarrassing scoreline
Yeah.
because 73 points, no matter how you dress it up, that's an embarrassment.
Oh, yeah.
That's an absolute embarrassment. No professional rugby club should be having 70 plus points put on them, even
No.
for the Dragons. That's just completely unacceptable. But also, we may have got a bonus point as well. We may have got a bonus point. We don't know now.
Yeah.
That was the best we could hope for, probably, was a losing, well, not a losing bonus point, a try bonus point we were never going to get within 7 of Benetton. But we've made it hard for ourselves yet again because, yeah, even if we do beat Newcastle, it all depends on the other result. That'll determine our progress. And we'll talk about that a bit later. But also, Filo's got full for this, mind. Can we not forget what happened last
mm,
season in the Challenge Cup? Gavin, we talked about this with Montpellier.
we
And
did.
Gareth, You was at
Yeah.
that Q&A with me as well. That was brought up, wasn't there, about Filo's selections in Europe to Reece Blumberg.
Yeah.
What happened in the URC against Glasgow? Filo rotated, lost 49-0. Next game against Cardiff, still lost. So there was no benefit to that whatsoever. So Filo's got form for this. We joke about the Tombola, but I think it needs to be, he needs to think a lot harder now about his selections. Because you're not building any momentum if you keep swapping and changing, and there needs to be continuity, doesn't there?
Yeah, you need a level of continuity, and that I totally agree. It's probably not a winnable game against the team who are targeting that competition. But perhaps if you know you're in for a potential pantsing, don't go in with your trousers already halfway down your arse. That's
It's fair. It's fair.
Yeah.
It's fair.
It's the thing is we've done well over the last few weeks, and we've had a bit of a bounce, but we know we're not there as a side yet. This is still a squad that loses more games than it wins, and we don't have the quality to rotate. But at times you do have to rotate. You can't pick the same squad every week, and we have had a fair few injuries picking up. I just think it shows that the coaches and the owners, we can't rest on, we've had a few wins. Oh, maybe this squad is good enough. No, we still need to add a considerable amount of quality to this side.
Yeah. And think about if we drew up a list of the players that we thought had been the strongest this season so far, right? With the exception of Ollie Burrows, none of them were starting. If we drew up a list of players we thought were impressive this season, Rob Hunt, Ollie Burrows, the general really shouldn't be starting. Ben Carter,
Yeah. Wayno.
Ryan Woodman, Wayno, Shea Hope, Angus, and Aaron,
Anisi.
Anisi. That's
But why do we think we can make so many changes and get away with it when we all know that we haven't got the squad depth to do it? Because I would add this too, Gav, as well. The other regions are rotating, but none of them are making mass changes like we are. They're making subtle changes. But we seem to be really rolling the dice every week, and I think we just haven't got the squad to do it. We can't do that.
But it was really interesting today. I was talking to the opposition coach, who I've known for years. I've been coaching against him for years. And he said, oh, we got absolutely hammered by a team. So I'm just all about saying to kids now, it's about having fun. It's about having fun. I've got a feeling that that's what Tiatia sitting there saying to professionals almost. As long as we have fun, boys. No, it's a bit like first season of Ted Lasso, when Ted is still wanting to select Roy Kent. And Coach Beard gets outraged and says, these are professionals, these are adults, they want to win and you should allow them to win.
It didn't look like the place were having fun, Gav, on Saturday
No,
night.
no.
They just look painfully exposed now, their depth.
But that's the problem. That, these are professionals, they have to try to win games. And if you just go into a game and say, I can't be asked, well, it's not going to be positive for anyone, is it?
Mm. But then I keep thinking about that comment, we didn't pick a team to win. And it sends a message, doesn't it? That we're making all these changes. And we're like, yeah, we know we're not going to win. It sends a negative message, I think. You're almost accepting defeat from the get-go.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that's a good message to send, especially with us who, we are trying to improve. We want to change perceptions. And it's really difficult now because we've got pumped. We've had 73 points put on us. So for me, like I said, I feel like we've sabotaged our progress a little bit now. And I just hope that we haven't lost that confidence and momentum that we've worked so hard over the past month to build. That's my concern.
It's a fair point. And you've said as well, did we think we could, get away with it? I don't even know if we did think we could get away with it, because we didn't look like we went there with any confidence. We just didn't start the game with any confidence. We looked all over the shop.
Yeah.
Did we go just, has it been a Jolly Boys outing? It was very poor. The scoreline tells its own story. You don't fault the effort. The players weren't avoiding tackles; they were just getting obliterated in them.
Or they were in the wrong place to make them.
Yeah,
Because the thing with the tackle, even if you're not a great tackler, if your body's vaguely in the right place, you can get enough on someone to still slow them down or whatever. There was one point, and I don't want to single out particular players, but Doy Richards was so out of position, and then he's just thrown out an arm to stop a dog woo. Yeah, the bloke's about 17 stone and can do 100 meters in about 11 and a half seconds. I don't think a single arm's going to stop him.
I just think if you're going to chuck in a load of SRC boys, you got to have leadership with them. Because
Yeah,
against the Scarlets, we had a few SRC boys, but that was different. We actually had leaders there, but there's no leaders.
yeah,
There's no
Yeah,
well,
Angus. There's
in
no Ben.
critical
No Keddy.
positions, we had an Iron Owen and an Nisi who were both good level players, and then this was a bit more of an SRC at the moment level player, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, because I saw somebody say to Dan from Rap on X, oh, well, they had like 6 SRC players in the squad for Scarlets. Like, he wasn't complaining then. But what that guy didn't realize was we had Carter, we had Angus, we had Keddy. These are leaders.
yeah.
Wayno.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're leaders. We had no leaders. So, yeah, poor selection by Tiatia. I will call him out on it. It wasn't right. Yes, rotate was fine, but the selection was just wrong, absolutely wrong. Ryan Price, friend of the pod, secretary from the supporters club, he went out there. There's quite a few actually, Dragon
There was a
supporters.
few, wasn't there? Fair play.
Yeah, and they were let down by that performance. How
Yeah.
embarrassing. Did you see what he tweeted? He said, wasn't expecting to win, but this is dire. Talk about throwing the towel in. Imagine paying all that money to go to Treviso and the team perform like that.
I'm sure he had a lovely weekend, but he probably didn't enjoy that 2 hours that he was in the stadium.
Yeah, but imagine, it's like the Perpignan, isn't it? It's not cheap, these rugby trips, mind. They're not cheap. Yeah, you pay good money to go out there, and then the team just plays like that, and it makes you think, well, what's the point? Mind you,
We
we
are
probably did
shit
that.
away from home, and we.
Yeah, we are. But this is a concern because for the rest of the season now, we've got a lot of away games because we had that cluster of home games, didn't we,
Yeah.
in the first block? And this is the genuine problem now because Philo this week was talking about we need to change the mentality away from home, and it's not Ronnie Parade, but it's still grass, it's still dirt, we need to perform. But you look at some of their away trips, they got to go to Munster, they got to go to Ospreys in Bridgend, that won't be easy. Then they go to South Africa, they got to play the Stormers, they got to play the Lions, they go away to Zebra, okay, that's a winnable game. I will put it to you, the Dragons have not won in Zebra since 2019.
Zebra will be targeting that.
Ospreys come unstuck today against Zebra. They're a
Yeah.
good side now. And then we go to the Scarlets, who, ironically enough, was our last away win in the URC in April 2022. There is a big, big psychological barrier.
2022 was our last away win in the URC.
April 2022, yes. Our last one was in Europe
I was
against
there.
Newcastle. Yeah, I know.
That was so long ago.
Well, that's my point, Gareth. That's what I'm
Flipping heck.
saying to you.
Oh.
Yes. But I'm saying there's a big, big psychological barrier with the away form. It's absolutely dreadful.
Well, Filo alluded to it before the game, didn't he? In the week, that was his press about, we need to be better away from home. And
I literally said that like a minute ago, Gareth. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was saying that,
Just-
we're still playing on grass and dirt. Yeah.
But what, they know it's a problem. Yeah, why is there such a psychological problem? It just makes no sense, does it? To be that piss poor.
But they've always been shite on the road, the Dragons. Throughout the entire history, they've never been a good away team. They've never been good. They've had good wins on the road. Don't get me wrong. You can look at Gloucester and the European Cup, Stade Francais. We've had famous away wins, good away wins, but we've never been a good away team.
No.
And this is a problem when a lot of your fixtures in the URC for the rest of the season are away. I mean, God help them going to Munster and Stormers. That could be very painful. And if Filo don't get a selection right, we'll be talking about another 70-point loss. Right. Any other thoughts? I tell you what I will say. When I wanted Lynn Jones to come on the pod as a guest, I've changed my mind. Lynn, I don't want you on the pod, mate, for 2 reasons. One, because you came out and threw the Dragons on the bus, said we'd done nothing, and as a coach, a former coach of the club, you should have known better of the challenges that we had at that time. He was always moaning about the lack of money, so he really should have had a better understanding. Also, Gav, do you want to fill us in about what he said on S4C as your Welsh-speaking wife picked up on?
Yeah, to state at halftime that the Dragons are playing like women. I mean, look, Warburton's had it, Foxy, Chum Five have had it. This week, Lynn Jones, you can get fucked for your misogynistic comments. That's disgusting. No place for that at all. Shouldn't be seen on our screens again. I know it must have been hard on live telly for them to have called it out, and they sort of tried to smooth it over. But it would have been a pretty strong statement if they'd called him out on it there and then and questioned what he meant by that. Because he's a dinosaur, isn't he?
The problem is though, and I've been batting back people on social media all day saying, "Oh, well, he was just saying how it is." No, he wasn't saying how it is, because if we're talking about playing like women, Gwalia Lightning, the side representing our region, went to Glasgow and won 38-19. So they weren't playing like women at all, because our women are successful and doing well in the Celtic Challenge, whereas that was absolutely dreadful. So no, they weren't playing like women. They were playing like very, very poor men, Lynn. And that's all
Yes.
you need to say.
Yes.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
all that sort of stuff, and when people say, "Oh yeah, he's just old school," I don't care. I'm
No, he's
old.
not old school. He's a
Uh,
dinosaur.
I'm old school, but I know
Yeah.
you don't be a misogynist and don't be sexist and don't be racist, because I'm not an idiot. So he can be old school, but he's also an idiot.
Gav, there's a
Yeah.
difference between old school and a dinosaur.
Yeah,
Patty from the Rat Pod said, we had a good chat about it. She said, if Dragons play like women, they should play like Gloucester Hartbury because they probably would have put in a much better performance.
yeah,
So, maybe they should have played like women in Gloucester Hartbury. It's absolute nonsense comment. They didn't play like women. They just played like boys, the Dragons. It was boys
yeah,
against men. It was little boys out of their depth. That's how it felt. But yeah,
yeah.
terrible comment from Lynn. Really, really terrible. But
But,
it does
but
show he's a dinosaur.
you said about having him on the podcast. I don't think he could, because I don't think he'd understand what podcasts were, because in his head it's still 1971.
It's really annoying though because we did make progress under Lynn, mind. We went to European semi-finals. We beat Leinster back to back in our one season. We did all right under Lynn, so it's really disappointing that he's this way.
Look, he's sat in his car. I imagine this Mondeo listening to cassette.
Monday with a cassette. Oh dear. Betamax at home.
Uh,
Don't have DVDs, just Betamax. Oh dear. Right. Any other further thoughts or comments from the weekend you want to talk about?
No.
no.
Okay, so just a reminder that you can find us on YouTube, subscribe on your podcast apps and leave us a review. 5 stars on Apple or Spotify will get you a shout out on this pod, I promise. Just to say, producer Lee, he provided us with some stats, didn't he, boys, of the listening figures for 2025.
I did.
And it's fair to say that Dragon Slayer is comfortably one of the best performing podcasts in the Rap Network. Our figures are very, very good. We're ahead of the other feeder pods for the regions, quite considerably, actually. The Uncertain Future episode and the David Buttress pod had more listens than any other pod in the Rap Network. Very popular podcast. So I just want to thank pretty much anyone who has listened, watched, or subscribed to us. Thank you so much. I honestly didn't think people would care. I've said this a few times, but I was very reluctant to do this Dragons podcast because I thought, who the hell would listen to it? Who cares? But a lot of you do. I mean, don't get me wrong. We haven't got the listing figures of bloody the Rugby Pod, Scrum 5, Egg Chasers. We're not that popular. But for a tiny independent podcast, we're doing pretty well. I mean, we hit the top 20 of Apple as well a couple of weeks ago. And we're
And,
above some very big names, let me tell you. That's just for Apple as well.
and we're a lot less questionable in our views than some of the men on Egg Chasers. So, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's true. And on the Rugby Pod as well with a certain Mr. Good.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, thank you so much for the support. It's really appreciated. Right, let's go to the Gwent Rugby Roundup. What's been happening then, Gav?
Well, the weather was the real winner this weekend, sadly. No, I was in Sussex, which was cold and wet, but not a lot else. But I understand you've had some fairly grim weather up in South Wales,
Yes.
and it did have an impact. So the SRC only the one game of the Gwent side scheduled, but that was postponed. Bridgend away at home to Pontypool. In the Premiership, Brecon 17, Crosskeys 3, but then Llangennech, Bargoed and Newbridge Beddau were both postponed. Into the Championship, Ablairi, Blaenau Gwent and Treorchy was postponed. Bedwas 50, St Joseph's 24, well, that was a good high scoring game, and Penaltha 30 and SD 5. Division 1, Abergavenny 10, Brynmawr 31. A local derby that, but if you look at the price of beers in the pubs in Brynmawr and Abergavenny, you wouldn't think they were that close to each other. But Bedlinog versus Blaenau, that was postponed. Blackwood 46, Monmouth 10, and Newport High School All Boys 34, Dowlais 31. Division 2, Abercarn versus Cumbran, Newport Saracens versus Usk, and Sengennydd versus Croeso Ceiliog were all postponed. Caldicot 32, Pill Harriers 26, Pontypool United 24, Rumney 26. Division 3, the Posh Wales Derby, Chepstow 24, Caerleon 25. And then all the other games were postponed. Garndiffa versus Fleur-de-Lis, Risca versus Nanty Glo, and RTB Eberville versus New Panteg. Division 4 and 5, all games were postponed. Division 6, Brynifel versus Magle, Hirwaun versus Old Hilarion, and Penaltha Athletic versus St Julian's was all postponed. And friend of the pods, New Treviso, won 76-10 away to Girling. And as I mentioned earlier, Glasgow 19, Gwalia Lightning 38 in women's rugby. And we also have some information from our friends at the Supporters Club, which would help if I could use current technology. Dragon All-Stars are in action on the 17th of January at Eugene Cross Park, the Field of Dreams, at 2 p.m. It's the Dragon All-Stars versus the Colwyn Bay Stingrays and Bolton Buccaneers. The first opportunity for the All-Stars to win silverware this season. If you're interested in going to the Osprey fixture on the 31st of January, there's one match ticket available. And travel package. For booking details, see all Supporters Club social media platforms. There will be a supporters bus for the last game of the URC season to the Scarlets. Ticket pricing and coach packages will be available shortly. Keep an eye on all Dragons official Supporters Club social media platforms. And after last year's success of the end of season awards night, we'll be running it again. Tickets will be made available soon at £15. Please see our social media platforms.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Gavin. And best of luck to the Dragons All-Stars. Right, let's look ahead. Friday night. Dragons hosting Newcastle Red Bulls. So what needs to happen in this game? Well, I say it's pretty simple, but it all depends really on what happens elsewhere. So Dragons need a win to go through to the last 16, right? They have to win. As simple as that. Then Perpignan and Lions play on Saturday afternoon. Now, this is a game that all Dragons fans need to pay attention to because this will decide our fate, okay? If they draw that game, that puts the Dragons at risk of elimination. So this is what Chris Kerwin said to me on X last night. Thank you for this information, Chris. He said, if Dragons win without a bonus point, they'll be on 8 points, which means a draw or lose with 2 bonus points will knock them out. If Dragons win with a bonus point, then they take a draw with bonus points or the loser to get 2 bonus points. My head hurts already, but basically we need to win and hope that the other game, Perpignan Lions, there's no draw and there's no like bonus points for both teams, especially if it's like 2 bonus points. That would be a disaster, would probably knock us out. So it's a freak result that could knock us out. So for us, we just need to concentrate on winning and then we'll see what happens. So Gareth, how are we feeling about this one? Can the Dragons bounce back? Will there be scar tissue left over from that embarrassment out in Treviso? How do you feel about this game now? Because this is do or die now, isn't it? They need to right the wrongs and redeem themselves after a hopeless performance in Treviso.
I'm excited for it. I touched on it earlier. It's night and day, our home and our away form, and I think that hopefully the boys are excited to get back at Rodney Parade. For me, there is nothing better than a Friday night game at Rodney Parade. It's pretty special atmosphere. What more do you want than a must-win cup match against English opposition? All those people calling for us to be in the English League. Well, come on, turn out then. If that's something you'd say would get you off your asses, get
Fair
down to
point.
Rodney Parade on Friday. Come on.
Yeah, fair point. An Anglo-Welsh fixture. You won this.
Yeah, this is
rugby
the one
fans.
everyone wants.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to it. I think, I'm expecting to see a much stronger side picked.
Well, you'd hope so.
After...
You'd hope so, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
But,
I'm feeling positive about it.
Okay.
What are you basing that on, Gareth? You expecting to see a stronger side?
Because we will bring back the likes of Ben Carter, Anisi, Wainwright.
Will we?
Yeah, of course we will. We will.
It's
been relatively consistent at home. The only worry with the rotation is the cup. Unless Filo has something in his mind about cup rotation, but to me, it's a must-win game. We need to bounce back and show what we're about. And if we can, look, if you think where we started the last season after the last couple of years, we're not a team that's just going to go out and win every game, obviously. But we need to target these home games. We've won a few home games on the bounce. Let's keep up that momentum and turn Rodney Parade into a fortress, because we're not going to be back at Rodney Parade that often now this season. So when we do, we need to be going in confident that we're going to win. So let's keep the momentum going Friday night. I'm pretty confident we'll win as well.
I've got to be honest, Gav, I'm not as excited for this game as you are. Because I think that performance on Saturday, like I said, every fan will feel different. But for me, that's left a sour taste in the mouth. Conceding 73 points like that, it's left a real sour taste in the mouth. And okay, even if we do beat Newcastle and we go through, great. We haven't got a home draw. We've just talked about how bad Dragons are on the road, so we're going to have to go away. And then we'll probably get battered elsewhere. So I think, well, what's the point? On that cheery note, Gavin, do you want to give your thoughts?
Well, firstly, nobody's excited about anything as much as Gareth is.
Yeah, that's true.
Gareth is always excited. So
I think I've got Stockholm syndrome.
I just think you are a glass is half full and it's half full of wonderful drink, mate. That's the way you view the world. My glasses are full. I'm just not sure if it's fat or if it's sparkling water, but we'll work it out. What do I think? Well, it's all dependent on selection. Red Bull's a better form. They've beat Gloucester recently. They've been in Europe, so we can't. It's not the same Newcastle side we played last year. And yeah, I think we can win it if we select the right team. I don't know. I don't know how we select in the team sometimes. Is it tarot cards? Is he
Tombola, mate. It's the Tiatia Tombola, and that is the title for this week's podcast, the Tiatia Tombola. That's how he selects the squads.
I don't know if you say, the Six of Cups. Oh, that's probably Di Richards.
Just draw it, pick it out. Oh, Joe Westwood. Oh, it's you and Rosser this week. Congratulations, you won. Number 7.
Some kind of random number generator.
Yes.
So if we put our strongest team out, yeah, we can win it. If we put a team that's less strong, yeah, we could lose it quite easily.
Yeah. I mean, if you get the likes of Aaron Wainwright, Ben Carter, Harry Keddy, Angus O'Brien, Shea Hope, Finney Anisi, that instantly improves the team, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Straight away, that's a much stronger Dragons team. We can't take Newcastle lightly. Well, we shouldn't take any team lightly given our position, but Newcastle, like you said, Gavin, they are improving and they're going to have a hell of a squad next season, mind. The players they're signing.
Hoskins
they are good.
Tutu, he's gone there, isn't he? And
yeah, they're signing some real quality players. And they'll continue because it's Red Bull. They're going to spunk so much money at players, at quality players. They've got the resources to do with Red Bull. They're not messing around.
No.
They're signing some really good players. But the players they got now, they've got some tidy players, Newcastle. You know, they got George McGuigan, very experienced player. Benitez Cruz, he's a nippy Argentine scrum half. He's pretty good. Christian Wade is still rapid. I actually watched Newcastle Perpignan on Saturday afternoon, and he's still quick. Christian
Yeah.
Wade, I tell you, he's very, very quick. Tom Christie is a very underrated player. You watch out for him. Kiwi flanker, used to play for the Crusaders. He's really good. Sammy Arnold, remember him? He's a good player. He used to play for Connacht, very underrated again. So we need to be careful. You know, Dragons can't take Newcastle lightly. We can't look at them and think, oh well, they're bottom of the English
Oh,
Prem.
they're
So
a good side now, aren't they? They've
they're
won
improving.
2 on the bounce. I think they've won 2 in Europe, 2 in the league. Is that right? I think. Or have they won in the league?
They beat Gloucester in the league. I don't know who else they've beaten.
Yeah, they pushed Bristol close, didn't they, away?
Yeah.
They've only beaten Gloucester, I think, in the
Yeah,
league.
it's only
Oh,
one
have
game.
they?
But they're unbeaten in this pool, right? So, yes, Newcastle have already qualified. They don't have to worry about that like we do. They've already qualified. However, they can guarantee themselves a home draw if they beat us. So it's all to play for. Don't think that, oh, they're going to make a load of changes now and they won't care because they've already qualified. They've got a lot to play for as well. They beat us. They could probably top the pool and I'll get them a home draw in the last 16. We won't get a home draw. We will probably have to travel, but they can. And they could secure that by beating us. So it's very much all to play for. Yeah, so it's going to be an interesting one.
Could we end up going away to a Champions Cup team that drops down?
Maybe. Do you know what? I'm not even going to rack my brain trying to figure out who we could.
That'd be a laugh with a bit of rotation, wouldn't it?
Well, that's my thing. So let's just say that we do win and we do qualify. Is Filo just going to put out an unserious team? Because if that's the case, but if that's the case, we might as well not bother progressing.
Toulouse away.
No, not a chance to be beaten Toulouse. Although Bulls aren't doing very well. They could drop down to the Challenge Cup. There's a lot of good teams, mind, that could drop down to the Challenge Cup. So we could get, even if we do win and go through, we're going away, we could get a very nasty draw. And like I said, if Filo's planning to pick an unserious team, don't bother. Don't bother with it. Yeah. Don't waste everyone's time. Don't waste the supporters' time or anyone else's time if you're going to do that. Sorry. What was you going to say then, Gav?
As I say, it's frustrating because imagine, if we could get through, I'm getting ahead of myself beating Newcastle now, that we didn't pick up points in the 2 away games.
Yeah.
And Perpignan was there for the taking.
It didn't help that Perpignan did pick up a bonus point as well when they lost to Newcastle.
Yeah. It is frustrating because you could imagine a knockout game back at Rodney Parade would be brilliant, but
no chance of that. We'll be on the road, mate.
Let's enjoy Friday first. Back at Rodney Parade, we'll have a good team out. Big game.
Yeah. So Benetton are top of the pool. 3 games, 3 wins. They're on 14 points. Newcastle Red Bulls played 3, won 3. They're on 13 points. Perpignan played 3, won 1. They're on 6. Lions, they've played 3 games. They've won 1. They're on 6. We've played 3, won 1, but we're on 4. So if we had picked up bonus points on the road, we would have been in a much better position. So, yeah, and then you got Leon at the bottom then. They haven't won a game. They're on 2 points, but they also picked up a bonus point when they lost to Lions in Johannesburg. So we know what we got to do. We got to win and hope that there's not a freak draw, freak result then in France on Saturday afternoon. But I have to say, I mean, I don't want to sound too doom and gloom about it, but do we even deserve to qualify? Because we have not played a good game of rugby in this European campaign. I'm sorry, but we haven't. Even when we beat Lyon, the first 60 minutes, we were second best. It was only the last 20 minutes did we actually perform.
Yeah, the good games coming on Friday, that's why.
Ah, right, okay.
Gareth, I hope that happens because I don't think I can cope with your mental breakdown via WhatsApp message on Saturday.
He's taken Saturday better than I thought. I'm more annoyed about what happened on Saturday. Like I've taken it personally, but Gareth is like you're relaxed about it, Gareth, and I thought you would have been a lot more upset about it. But you seem to have taken it in your stride. I think it's an absolute disgrace what happened, but you seem to be okay with it.
Yeah, I'm not as. I mean, we've watched Dragons perform badly away from home enough, haven't we? I think Perpignan was worse. I think that was a better chance to actually go and do something, and we had a better side out. When the side was named, it did look, especially in the back line, a little SRC level, and you thought, oh, we're in trouble here. The game started, you thought, yep, we are in trouble. So it just wasn't a massive shock, which is maybe a bit of a worry as well. We just don't have the depth, and I think we do need to keep strengthening with recruitment. So
No, look, losing to Benetton wasn't a massive shock, but surely you did not think we were going to concede
no,
70.
no, no,
Surely you did not.
no. I'd never think we would lose by that many. Dear me, I
I
was
had a
hoping
funny,
we'd get bonus points.
I had a funny moment earlier. Yesterday, Reece Thomas, good guy. He's writing for the Argus now, isn't he? He's writing the
Yeah.
Dragons match reports and stuff. So I read his match report this morning, and he said it was the first time Dragons conceded over 70 points. I'm like, wrong-o. We have done it before in Europe. Glasgow, anyone?
Oh my
Yeah.
days.
We lost
When the hooker scored 200 tries.
Johnny Matthews. We lost
Yeah.
73-33 to Glasgow, and that was in 2023. So, no, we've been here before with the Dragons. We've been here before. Our worst performances in recent years have actually come in Europe.
Yeah. It's one thing I didn't want this season, though. You think, like, what did we want at the start? Be competitive at home and sneak a few wins. Be competitive on the road, pick up bonus points. Don't give an absolute shit show of a game. And that was the second shit show of the season for me. I don't count Glasgow as a shit show, even though we got nailed. I thought we actually put in a bit of graft. They were just unbelievably good. But Perpignan and Benetton away have both been shit shows, haven't they?
Right. Which is the worst out of those two, Perpignan or Benetton? Because they're both very embarrassing, but for both very different reasons. Which do you consider the worst?
Perpignan for me. I
Really?
felt I was going into that game thinking we've got a chance of getting a win here. And we did have a few of our leaders on the field, and we were just absolutely dreadful in every single aspect of the game. This game, we were just dominated in the back line for me.
But that was a poor performance, whereas this was a poor performance, which was then kind of just made worse by we put a team out that was never going to win anyway.
Yeah, at least with our Perpignan game, we looked at that team and thought, oh, that's pretty decent. We can get something out of this because they were bottom of the league. They haven't won a single game at they, Perpignan.
No, they
And then-
have now. They've beaten Toulouse.
They have, yeah. Since they've beaten us, they've kicked on a bit. But right, okay. Before we wrap up, let's do our predictions. Gavin, your prediction for Friday night, please. Dragons, Newcastle.
Newcastle by 5.
Gav,
Are you really? Are you tipping Newcastle to
Yeah,
win?
I am.
Gav, you're
Oh, he is so negative, isn't
you're
he?
edging
Absolute
towards my get fucked
negativity on this
list.
pod. Oh, you don't want to make Gareth get fucked list. Oh no.
But I'm
Oh,
always
dear.
wrong, so
Well,
there's
that.
wrong.
There's
Yeah.
that. Gareth, Dragons by how many?
Oh, well, definitely Dragons. I was going to say quite a few, but it looks like it's going to be pretty rough weather, even though we've got a good surface. Dragons by 8.
Okay, that seems pretty confident. I'm going Dragons by 5. And I think we'll do just enough to squeak through to the last 16, and then we'll get a ridiculously hard away tie. And then Filo will get his Tombola out, pick an unserious team, and we'll have 60, 70 points put on us again.
Only you could tip a Dragons win and it'd be neggy.
And he'll get his Tombola out because it'll be, we've got a 6-day turnaround to so-and-so. So
Oh, dear me.
the Tombola
Yeah.
comes out, changes are made, and we're like, why did we even bother? We should have just stayed in the group stage and not even, it would be Glasgow all over again. No, I hope it don't. I hope it don't. But what I will say to Philo, my message to you, mate, is if you do get through to the last 16, pick a serious team, mate, please.
Without coming across too much like Lynn Jones, I know it's a 6-day turnaround. I do understand that, boys. It is also your job. So,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. I do care about player welfare, and I understand the point. I've been arguing with people on Facebook. There are people out there who cannot understand why Dragons can't play the same team every week. They don't get that. And I had somebody on Facebook saying to me, well, they do it in the Premier League in football. They play twice a week sometimes and they pick the same team. Genuine comment.
Yeah, they're not getting people like Levi Douglas smashing you, are
Yeah.
they?
Yeah.
Completely different sport, completely different levels of physicality. No, mate, it doesn't work like
And
that.
they don't play twice a week because the top sides all rotate.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Well, there you go. There
Yeah,
you go.
yeah, I'm no football expert, but I know for a fact the teams rotate, which is why they have such big squads.
Yeah. But some people are just yeah. Gavin, Gareth, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Thank you to our friends at Riverside Sports Bar for their continued support of the pod. And thank you for listening. And we will speak to you again very soon. Best of luck to the Dragons on Friday night. Up the Dragons.